Greetings, watcher of internet content. A year ago today, a simple favor, rooted in a mutual love of Star Wars, began a journey that would span the remaining 364 days of the year. The challenge? Create a Star Wars fan film that was worthy of garnering the attention of the YouTube channel, The Star Wars Theory. And it is now to you, humble viewer, that I leave the remaining leg of this journey. So help me, humble viewer, for you are our only hope. This is how we created a Star Wars fan film, Star Wars: The Remembered. So if you haven't heard of a YouTube channel called Star Wars Theory, all you really need to know is that they are the go-to YouTube channel for anything and everything Star Wars related. I will leave a link in the description below so you can check out their channel, and if you happen to be over there, I would especially recommend checking out their short film that they developed in 2018. It's called Vader, and it follows the story of Darth Vader and Mace Windu battling it out after the events of Order 66. The short film was pretty well received and managed to garner the attention of people in Hollywood, so they are currently working on developing out a continuation of the Vader story, moving towards that battle between Darth Vader and Mace Windu, which is something that caught the attention of a long-term collaborator of mine, Thomas Annunziata.
It started as an audition for another project. I wanted to audition to be one of the Jedi. I saw the descriptions of the physical descriptions of some of the Jedi, and I wanted to be a part of this in whatever shape or form because it fascinated me. I put out one audition for it. A few days later, after filming it, I hated it. It was just me standing in a room with a blue lightsaber reciting some random monologue I made up in my head, but I realized maybe we could actually do something really cool with this.
If we knew we were going to be delayed in the audition process to get him involved with the Star Wars Theory film, why don't we just make our own Star Wars fan film and use that as the audition? So that's what we did. So one of the tasks that I was charged with in the pre-production of this film was creating the fight choreography. It's Star Wars. You can't have Star Wars without lightsabers. It's illegal. While we were building that out, I spent a lot of time in the background doing research on different types of Jedi combat. Yes, I know, ladies, it's very hard to keep your hands off me. And over the next 8 months, we were practicing on a bi-weekly basis so that by the time we got to the actual day of, we knew exactly what we were doing. And all the while, I was recording our practice footage to help me build out the shot sheet and to make sure that we had a reference of the combat the day of, so that if there was anything that we were a little bit fuzzy on, we'd have a source to immediately go back to know exactly how we practiced it and exactly what moves connected to which moves that were about to happen. There were two types of lightsabers that we needed. We needed a professional looking lightsaber for the actual fight choreography of the final product, and we needed a separate lightsaber prop for just the hilt, without the blade attached.
They sell custom lightsabers that you're able to buy and can actually withstand a lot of hits that are built for fighting just like that.
So while Tom was focused on buying the practice sabers that we ended up using, I was busy building my own lightsaber hilt. So I ended up taking a few trips to Home Depot, bought some PVC pipe, cut it into pieces, used epoxy glue to glue the thicker pieces of pipe to the more narrow pieces of pipe to give it that sort of classic Star Wars lightsaber feel. I spray painted everything black, glued on some small metal rings and plastic grommets to look like an activator button. This ended up being our final result. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out, considering I'd never developed props like this before, and we ended up using it in the final film. We were basing this Star Wars fan film on the world that Star Wars Theory was building out. Tom was auditioning for one of the characters in the Star Wars Theory universe. How do we make Tom look like this? We particularly didn't have the skill set necessary to create a sort of mask or mold of Tom's face to be able to match it to that photo, but luckily, Tom knew someone who did have that skill set.
I had worked with Samantha Mileski before. She does all of these things for Netflix, for HBO. So immensely talented in what she does. Molded my entire head, and she put this makeup on, and I mean, when I saw like how it looked initially, it almost like brought a tear to my eye.
But you weren't allowed to cry.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to cry. But at that point, it was just so pristine that I just didn't want to do anything to touch it.
And the lips are a little... whatever, we can fix that.
This is insane.
Show yourself!
That's awesome.
I can't stop smiling, but I'm afraid to smile because it might mess up the lips.
I love just being heavily in costume for a character, like even before I have to be on camera, because it helps me be in character, it helps me be immersed. That felt like the ultimate kind of immersion, and in a way it felt like so freeing.
We're gonna go over a couple of things for the film that we are going to be filming on Saturday. First order of business. This isn't necessary for day one, but this is sort of like the general thing that I'm planning on wearing for day 2, which is me and Tom's fight scene.
Fantastic.
I like it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Face makeup.
I'll be wearing this costume while we shoot.
Oh,
So
yeah,
what do you
give me the
think?
full 360.
Very well.
I wanted to bring on Jonny, my brother, who has been working in film for a very long time, and I knew that I wanted him to be our DP for this. We knew that he was the right person to put it into action while we were both focusing on like being in front of the camera. He worked so well with us. He did such a great job.
Since we were only filming one side of the room, we were really able to dial in on the type of lighting that we wanted. We were able to set our lights and forget about them and not worry about constantly adjusting them so that they matched in different shots. It was so simple, in fact, that even our gaffer Tony was able to handle it. Just kidding, Tony. It was actually fantastic to have you on set. I'm glad we finally got to work together. Our still photographer, Geena, took a bunch of really great production stills throughout the course of those days.
All the photos that you see, they all look so good because they were taken by her. She has such an eye for it. I knew that she was the person to contact. She always had such a great eye for photography.
Including this one, which I think should be Tom's dating profile. He disagreed. Day 2 was the more complicated of the 2 days because that was the day we had to film all of our lightsaber fight scenes. We'd already been rehearsing for a couple months, so we knew the choreography backwards and forwards, and although that fight practice definitely paid off, wearing black cloaks in 90-degree weather while swinging a lightsaber around for 8 hours in the woods, while making yourself a buffet for mosquitoes, is only fun for so long. Also, I don't know if you ever tried to do a backflip while wearing a gigantic hood that completely covers your face, but it comes with its own set of challenges. However, somehow, by the end of that day, we had managed to film everything that we needed to get started with the editing. Editing was not easy. The truth is, it wasn't the general assembly that was the problem. We pretty much got everything that we needed, and everything we got worked surprisingly well. There were maybe a couple shots here and there that needed some tweaking, but everything from general assembly to sound mixing to color correcting to color grading, all that was done within the first month after our production. The second attempt, with VFX, took an additional 7 months. That is 7 months of going frame by frame, rotoscoping lightsabers into the film, tweaking the lightsabers, adding smoke, energy, and ember effects. If you don't know what rotoscoping is, it's when you manually go in to a video and mask out the element that you want highlighted in your piece. I had to go in, mask around the blade of the lightsaber, and then track that throughout the entire shot. Imagine doing that once. Maybe it takes you an hour, 2 hours, but when you have 30 VFX shots, While I was slowly driving myself insane with the visual effects in this film, Tom was working with another member of our team to focus on the next challenge that we needed to overcome, which was putting music in our film. Luckily, we both knew an incredible musician who was able to really focus in on what we wanted out of the music in our film and give us exactly what we were looking for.
My name is Schuyler Ian Gordon, and I am a composer, musician, slayer of men, guitar player at heart, but I love to do many things, including Star Wars. Shit.
He went on board with such enthusiasm to the Star Wars project, and what he's brought to it just gives everything that we've shot like such a life to it.
Being John Williams is not easy, so recreating anything to be anywhere near it, part of me felt good to say, like, this doesn't have to be exactly like Star Wars. Like, we can make this really cool. And I feel like we already had ideas as soon as I was watching it, you know, how to just start coming up with tension. Here I have Logic. This is the single piano note that we use. It's a deep one. And then a very high-pitched one. We added some compressors, we added a little reverb to it. It almost sounds nice. I don't mind it. But it's just a little clearer, a little more high-pitched, and it just kind of hits you a little bit more in the chest rather than like the top of your head. So the horns that you're hearing in the song, they're actually not just horns. They're a hybrid of horns and strings. So when you hear this low end, turn it up a little bit. The higher end notes that are technically not playable by horns are being covered by violins and other stringed instruments. This keyboard has made it very easy for us to create a real moving humanistic orchestra, and with fine tuning and automation and panning and a little bit of EQ, compression, a little bit of transient work, and a little bit of everything. Sugar and spice, you know, a little white rice every day keeps you binded. And then you can finally write good music. So, sorry. The drums that I use are these wonderful big taiko type drums. Of course, you need to find the correct sounds and everything that you're really looking for. If I just hold it down, that is one push of the button. You can really create interesting things with this. I don't get too deep into writing with the notation, but for me it's all about feeling things out. So I just sit down and I just jam it out with some sticks on a drum pad, or tap it in with my fingers, or even draw it in sometimes if I know what I need to do. I just can't sit down and write whole notes and half notes for drum beats. That's just not my thing. But the drum action strikes plugin that I use, it's nice. You can really fine tune how hard you're hitting and how the sounds really feel in the track. So there's plenty you can do. But yeah, the drums are nice and simple for this. We didn't get too crazy. The synth part was really kind of the thing that I thought was my own little flavor to bring into it, because there is not really synths in John Williams music, or at least in just Star Wars. I don't know about the rest of it, but when we were talking about just making it a little more to our own flair and style, that was kind of the thing that I couldn't help but want to do. So I'm very excited for people to hear our take on the Star Wars theme. I just really like some of the homage we pay to the natural fighting style of Star Wars, all that music. And I had a great time making it too. That was one of the best things.
We started this journey with one goal, to make the best audition possible in the form of our own Star Wars fan film. So many people have put so much work into making this film a reality. I hope you guys like it, and if I could have one request from you, watcher of internet content, it's this. We would love it if the people behind Star Wars Theory would see our film. We know it's a long shot for a YouTube channel that has 3 million subscribers to care about someone who doesn't even have 30 subscribers. But so many people I know have poured so much of their heart and soul into this project to give Tom the best possible chance of getting at least an audition for the Star Wars fan film. We know it's a shot in the dark, and we know it's not likely to happen, and either way we are very happy with the work that we have done here. But the truth is, we could not have done this without the inspiration of the Star Wars Theory YouTube channel. The world that they are attempting to create, to just have a small piece of that we've sort of taken and made our own, is a very special thing, and for that I'll always be grateful. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the film, and may the Force be with you, always.
You look like a crazy person.
I can move my mouth again.